News now on the Law Minister and his letter to the Election Commission, one that he hopes will close the controversy that has arisen after his announcement at a rally on a sub-quota for Muslim voters in Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Khurshid's letter expressed regret and full respect for the Election Commission. EC sources say although they have not formally taken a decision, with the letter now formally sent to them, chances are that this controversy that has grabbed the headlines for the last few days will now draw to a close. Of course, Salman Khurshid is busy campaigning in his wife Louise Khurshid's constituency, Farrukhabad, and he's joining us tonight on the Buck Stops Here, live as our newsmaker on the Buck Stops Here. Mr. Khurshid, thanks for your time. It's been a long, hard day of campaigning for you, and I believe that you've had to take a motorcycle ride to get to our program. So thanks for your time. Let me start by asking you. Are you confident that with your letter sent to the Election Commission, this is now a controversy that you can put behind you? And you once said jocularly in this past week that when you speak too much, you get into trouble. So do you regret what you said?
I'm just not talking about this. I think that this is an episode that we should put behind. There are in the democratic turmoil of elections, things to happen that you can reflect upon and take another view of, and sometimes just move on to new things. Now, I think that it's best that we consider this as a closed chapter, an episode that's over.
Are there lessons in it for you, though, as a veteran politician?
There are lessons in everything for everyone. I don't think that when you learn alone. You learn collectively. Everyone learns. Sometimes you learn from other people's experiences. Sometimes you learn from your own experiences. And I wouldn't say that you spend even half a day in politics without learning lessons.
You said you wouldn't like to speak more about this and you think it's a closed chapter. Do you believe that the Election Commission will also feel that way because they haven't officially announced a decision yet?
I have no comment on that at all. I treat this as an episode that's over, and I would let them take their own decision. I don't think it's fair for me to either anticipate or to speculate.
Mr. Khurshid, stepping back and looking at the larger debate around what matters in Uttar Pradesh, the media narrative around you used to be as a voice of liberal thought, of liberal opinion. And I read a headline the other day that said that Mr. Khurshid has gone from being a liberal Muslim to now a Muslim mascot. Do you see yourself that way? Do you believe that for politics you've had to move away a little bit from your core beliefs and play a minority card, as it were?
That's very tragic for people and how they understand Indian politics to be. To think that to be liberal you have to be somehow aloof from your constituency or your community, I think is a misunderstanding of the word liberal in the first place. I think that we shouldn't be put into preconceived slots. We should take things as they are, and I believe that I've always followed the constitutional mandate, which I continue to do. And don't forget, it's the constitutional mandate that provides for Article 29 and 30. People sometimes forget this.
The BJP accused you of communalizing an issue like the Batla House encounter. You then said you were misquoted by the media when you spoke about the Congress president being extremely upset at that encounter. Do you want to set the record straight? What do you believe the Congress president actually said on the Batla House encounter, and how did you get to be misunderstood on that?
Nothing. I didn't say that there was anything to say. I said that this was a very moving situation. Nothing to do with the merits of the case. Nobody knew anything at that time, and that's all. I don't think that the BJP has, frankly, any bona fides and any credentials to be speaking of communalizing. I wouldn't demean myself by even responding to their charges.
As a politician, Salman Khurshid, is it complicated for you to wear two hats? And by that I mean you're in this election campaigning as a Congress leader, but you've also got the other hat of being a minister in the cabinet, senior minister, law minister and minority affairs minister. So do you have to, in a sense, walk that tightrope between those two responsibilities? Let's take Batla House, for example. There is a legal position of the government which says the encounter was genuine. There might be your view as a politician who's going out talking to voters in the heartland of UP. How are you reconciling both those seemingly contradictory positions sometimes?
Well, how do you reconcile judgments of the Supreme Court that people disagree with? The Supreme Court itself changes its mind from time to time. The Supreme Court now has something called curative petition, where a perfectly seemingly sound judgment is overturned by a larger number of judges. Nowhere in the world does this happen, but we have a very innovative, very creative and a very imaginative Supreme Court, and that's provided for these kind of outcomes. So I think that we shouldn't, as I said earlier, we shouldn't put things into preconceived categories. We should allow our imagination in a creative manner to look at issues as they arise and relate them to the experiences of the common person. And sometimes, if you can't do that, you come to grief.
What's your own take on the Batla House encounter, Mr. Khurshid?
I have no take except the government take. The government take is that there is the matter now in court, and the court should decide. Whatever be the history of it, the court will take a view and the court will decide that. But when the court has to decide something, it doesn't mean that you shut off the entire understanding of the history of the matter, including inputs provided from time to time by various people, inputs that you might agree with or disagree with. But today the matter is in court. And that's why we use the expression sub judice, that something that is sub judice you don't comment upon and you don't hold a parallel trial outside. BJP is very fond of doing parallel trials outside, but I'm sorry my training doesn't allow me to do that.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.